What's going on, Illumineers? Welcome back to the Madhouse, and we're doing card reveals today, and we only have a couple more. How do you guys feel about this flooding of cards that they've done this week? Normally it's spread out a little bit more. We don't have so many all at once, but they said, hey, we're getting it done in what they did like 7 days worth of card reveals, and it's a lot of cards. How do you feel about that? Is it too much? Would you rather it be spaced out more, or are you just really happy to get them all now so you can start getting ready for the next set? Or does it kind of put a damper on this set? How do you feel about it? I'll reserve my opinions for now, and I'll let you guys know in the next video. But as far as before we do get to the card reveals, a couple events that I do want to highlight because they're really awesome. So first off, the Illumineers Cup. This is put on by Team Labyrinth, and there's a couple reasons I want to highlight this event. One, it's online. So no matter where you're at in the world, you can take part in this 2K event, and that is just awesome. That is super cool and really, really neat. And what makes this really awesome is that we it just creates an opportunity. People can learn from this huge online only event, and maybe we start seeing more online only events. And this is ran through Discord, so you don't need Pixelborn Connect from what I'm aware of. I still recommend you get it, but and it's ran through a site called Limitless from what I understand. But also something to note about it is if you play, I believe it's if you play a Team Labyrinth person and you win, they give you $5. And also, for every person that registers up to 200 people, they'll donate $5 to the Hunter Burton Memorial event. And so before we get to that, though, check out the Illuminators Cup. The website will be down in the description for you guys to register. But yeah, you can play anywhere in the world. You can take part in this 2K event. Definitely check it out. And then next up, the Hunter Burton Memorial Gaming to Prevent Suicide. This is something that is really near and dear to me. If you're watching my channel, you probably know that I'm military, so suicide unfortunately is a big part of the military community, and anytime I get an opportunity to help an event like this or to talk about an event like this, I'm going to take that opportunity. And so yeah, if you do go, it's going to be a big event. You can also watch them online on 20 Lore, Twitch, and YouTube. I did help sponsor it, so you'll see some prizes there that are from me. So I hope you like them. I hope they're fun. I hope you win. And if you do, let me know if you win one of the prizes that I sent. And then finally, don't forget the giveaway. That will be in the description as well. But moving on to what you guys are here for, let's talk about Mickey Mouse. All right, Mickey Mouse, the inspirational warrior. He is a 1/1/1 2-cost uninkable stirring spirit. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play a character for free. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. He is a Dreamborn and a hero. I really wish he would have been a knight. I mean, he looks like a knight. I feel like he should be a knight, but because if he was a knight, he could work with the mine, right? Where he could you can move him and deal 2 damage to something, and that would be a really, really cool interaction. Maybe that's why they didn't make him a knight, because of that interaction. But as far as the card goes and what it is, um, you could do really cool things. I mean, I think there's lots of things in Ruby and Steel right now that can give you plus attack. So if they give your characters plus attack and you give this to Mickey and he becomes a 3/1, then he can take out most cards that are playing right now. I mean, I imagine you're playing a 0/1 Diablo to draw a card, and you're like, I feel really happy about this card. And then they're like, nope, now you can't even turn that sideways. So I think this card is really neat. What he could do, imagine cheating out like a Chernobog's followers, cheating out a Cindy Stouthearted, a John Silver, the 6/6 that has resist +2. There's so many possibilities with this deck, and if you're not playing against a steel deck, there's a really good opportunity you get his effect off. Probably you can't play steel or red, most likely. But so that leaves green, yellow, I guess. Blurple. Anyways, his effect is cool. It's neat. We'll give him a 3. I can't give him more than that because there's just too many decks that can easily take care of this character before he gets to use his effect. But if you get to use his effect, that is really, really, really cool. I mean, turn 3, you could you could play Chernobog's followers. You could play a Big Cindy. You could play any number of massive. You could play the 1010 Goofy that quests for 4. I mean, there's so many possibilities with this card, and I think it's really cool. I'll give it a 3. Yeah, I'll give it a 3. I think it's a little too niche, a little too cute for a 4, but I definitely see people trying to play it. And where would we be if we talked about Mickey Mouse without Minnie? Minnie Mouse, the storyteller. She's a 1/2 quest for 0 right now, and she's a 2 cost uninkable. Gather around. Whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn, and just one more. Whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character loses attack equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. This one is really interesting. I know some people are kind of excited about this one. Some people are see the writing on the wall with this one. There's some neat things you could do. Imagine running a Prideland Stitch deck and you have this character down, they don't remove it, and then you do a Prideland Stitch combo and you play 20 characters, right? And then you could literally OTK them. You could get 20 lore and you just win in one turn. Technically it'd be 2 because you have to play her and then but anyways, um that's really neat. That's really cool. I wish she had 1 lore without her effect, right? I mean, look at John Silver, right? John Silver has 1 lore, and then for each additional location, he gains a lore. Tamatoa, the big crab, has 1 lore, and then for each additional item, gains 1 lore. So why can't Minnie have 1 lore, and then for each character you play? Because we've all been there. We've all played an aggro deck, and then some turns we just don't draw a character. So now Minnie just sits there and literally does nothing. Literally does nothing. Um, I just, she's a bad piglet in kind of every way. Whenever you play a character, this character. So if you play one character because you're in top deck mode, this card gains 1 lore. And the opposing character losing attack equal to this character's lore is really cool. I really like that. That is a really neat idea. But again, you have to have characters. So this is a card that you see on turn 2, or you hope you don't see it all because your hand size is getting too small at that point. And aggro does suffer with hand size. I I don't know. I'm going to give her a 3. The reason I'm going to give her a 3 is this: if you can get the card draw, if you can get the card draw, her effect is really cool. That make your opponent's character lose attack equal to the lore is really neat. So if you run this in like purple yellow, you run Chromacons, you run other draw cards, this could really do something. If you run this in green yellow, where the card we'll look at later today, this could really do something. Uninkable is makes it really rough because a lot of these aggro decks already run so many uninkables. I'm gonna give it a 3. People will definitely try and play it. It's gonna be a really sexy legendary. Like, this is gonna look so cool. The foil is gonna look great. We'll give it a 3. It's Minnie Mouse, all right. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Moving on, we have Fidget. He is a 2/3/2 4-cost inkable and a Christmas tree dual ink, that being Emerald and Ruby. He has evasive and I took care of everything. Whenever this character quests, chosen other character of yours gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this is kind of like the goat cow sheep thing, gazelle. If this is like gazelle, except I think for her is when you play her, she gives another character evasive. So the one thing about this though is I took care of it. Fidget can only give your characters evasive. He does quest for 2. He helps with the aggro Christmas tree build, and that's something. Someone sent me a list. just yesterday where they ran a Christmas tree aggro list and did really 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 well with it throughout the month of Scar Set Champs. So maybe this does help. I'm gonna give it a 3. Its stat line sucks. It only quests for 2, but giving your characters evasive can be good. We're starting to see more evasive hate, so maybe this stat line just isn't enough for that. But um yeah, I just realized my mug's in the way, but we'll just move it there for now. But yeah, so we'll give it a 3. We'll give it a 3 for now. Maybe I'm being a little too nice today. It is my birthday, so I can be. Moving on, we have Li Shang. He's a 2/3/1. He is a 3 cost uninkable ruby steel dual ink. I won't let you down. This character can challenge ready characters and big responsibility. While this character is damaged, he gets +2 attack. So he become a 4/3. He is a hero, and that might be captain. I need to do better about getting all of these, but this is interesting. So I really like this effect. I really like things that can challenge ready characters. As a Steel Song player, I really don't, but I really like the effect. It breaks parity. It when people think they can just sit there and do nothing, you play a Li Sheng, you could give it rush, you could give it rush, you could do all these kind of things, and that can be really effective. But oh man, and if he's damaged, you can't use him till turn 4 unless you give him rush. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any like cards that give rush to another character. I know they're there, I just can't think of any. I'm gonna give him a 3 as well. I think we're seeing Ruby Steel trying to really come out. We saw it at the Southside Gaming event where someone showed us that it's possible, and now we're seeing a lot of Ruby Steel support. So I think that this can very much see play. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Moving on, we have Tramp. This is definitely Tramp. I forgot the name to include the name, but he is a hero as well, and he is a 2/6/2 7 cost inkable. He is an Amber Emerald, and now it's a party. For each character you have in play, you pay 1 less to play this character. And back to romance. When you play this character, you may draw a card for each other character you have in play, then discard as many cards. So interesting. Um, well, this changes. So I've mentioned it before. I try not to look at a lot of the spoiled cards. I like to save them as kind of a surprise for the video. But I do have to choose the MVP card, and the last part of this. Well, we'll get there. Crap. You may draw for each character you have in play. When you play this, so if I'm playing a hyper aggro green yellow deck, how many characters do I normally have down at a time? Maybe 3, maybe 4. Um, because we never saw Maribel C play, and the fact that we never saw Maribel C play means that green yellow hyper aggro is not seeing 5 characters down, or not seeing 5 characters down reliably. So that makes something. When you 7 cost inkable is kind of death if you top deck this and you have no characters down. Imagine you need to top deck and you just need something that quests for 2, and you're a hyper aggro deck, so you're on 5 ink, and then you top deck this. That feels pretty bad. I'm going to it's the second part is then discard as many cards. That feels so bad because you see all the when you play this character, you may draw a card for each other character you haven't played, then discard as many cards. So you have 5 characters down, you get to draw 5 cards, and then what if that's all you have, and then you have to discard 5 cards? Like that just that effect is awful. Now it is a May option, so you don't have to do this, but I mean, if you play Chernobyls in your list, that's a great way to get 5 characters off the field or in the discard pile, so you could play a cheap Chernobyls. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it could see play in hyper aggro, kind of that high roll opportunity where if you're not playing a if you're not playing some like a Ruby Steel deck, or if you're not playing a just a Steel deck in general, you could really pop off. It's a 2/6, so it is annoying to deal with. So we'll give it a 3, an optimistic 3. Moving on, we have Helga Sinclair. She's a 0/4/1/2 cost uninkable challenger +3. During your turn, this character gains evasive. So with 3 attack, she can still not take out Genie. Um, and that's rough. In the past, how often do we see cards that are played that have bad stat lines that only gain effect on your turn? Well, look at Jim Hawkins, who I thought would be just a game-breaking card for Blue Steel. That saw almost no play whatsoever, and I'm talking the baby Jim, when they could turn that into a 4/4, but the problem is if you play this card, it gains Challenger 3, but then on your opponent's turn, it's still just a 0/4, and if you challenge something, it probably took damage, so now it's just a 0 whatever. And that's really easy for your opponent to gain card advantage on, because then they just take out Helga and they have an extra card that took no damage. So it's really hard. And then when you look at the 2-drop spot for Steel, you have Calhoun and Smee. And Helga just never jumps in there. Now, this can answer Diablo, so there's something. But you know what else answers Diablo and Steel? Fire the Cannons, Smash. I think there's a Trident card. There's like the Storm Rage on, Strength of a Raging Fire, Zeus. Like then it goes on and on and on of cards that can answer Diablo in Steel. So even Magic Broom is a 2/3 inkable, and I'd rather play Magic Broom over Helga Sinclair. The only thing that Helga Sinclair does positively is answers Diablo if it's on their location, Hidden Cove. That is it. That is the only thing that Helga Sinclair does. I'm gonna give Helga Sinclair 2, and the only reason she gets a 2 is because she answers Diablo while it's on Hidden Cove. So that's something. But even then, it's probably a 1. But I'll stick with a 2. Moving on, we have Treasure Guardian, and he is a 3/3/2 4-cost inkable. When Untold Treasure. When you play this character, if you have an illusion character in play, you may draw a card. So we see Raja here. Maybe we're about to see an Abu. We saw Iago and Raja. Magic Carpet and Abu. Maybe those are the last legendaries. Moving on. As far as this card goes, 4 cost. So we're playing Goat. We're playing Rabbit. We're playing Genie in this spot. Whenever you play this character, though, if you have an illusion card in play, you may draw a card. So we're playing Rabbit and Genie, which also draw cards. Genie also quests for 2 and is evasive. This one can't be brawled, so there's that. Genie and Rabbit just draw a card. There is no condition. So for Treasure Guardian, there is a condition. You have to have an illusion character down. Raja you could play on 2. Iago doesn't come down till turn 4. So now this 4-cost card doesn't come down till turn 5. Treasure Guardian right now is a 2 for me. There's maybe if he was an illusion, right? That could do something, but because then he works with Jafar, but no, I understand why he's not an illusion because of like the story, but no, I think this is unfortunately just a 2. It's just too slow. The only thing it can work on is Raja. Like there's just no good line with this card. Now, sure, like you don't have to play it on 4, but if I could play Genie or Rabbit on 4, then why wouldn't I want to? And it's a 3/3/2, so it doesn't get banished by Brawl. So there's that. But we need more illusion characters right now to make this playable. Iago being a 4/6 evasive is pretty good. Raja being a 2-cost 3/3/1, I think. She might be a 2. I'm pretty sure Raja's a girl. Anyways, I don't know. I'll give it a 3. I'll bump it up to a 3 because maybe there's a world if we see more illusion characters. I'm being optimistic we see more illusion characters. If there are more, especially like a 1-drop or a 3-drop, then maybe there's a world where you can play them. You include the Raja, and all of a sudden, all your characters are pretty protected from brawls and baby Sizus. Nope, not let the storm rage on because they have vanish. So it should probably be a 2, but we'll give it a 3. We're going to give Illusion an optimistic 3. Moving on, we have Mulan. She is a 2-1-1, a 1 cost inkable. And where do I sign in? When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. She is a hero and a princess. She works with Queen Sensor Core, so that's exciting. She is a Mulan shift target. That's something. This is essentially a Simba, but Simba's a 1-2. So Mulan does shut down Flynn, but if you're running this card, it's probably in red steel, ruby steel, because of the Mulan shift target piece. And if you're running this in red steel, you probably aren't too worried about getting cards that stop Flynn. So that doesn't mean much, but being 2-1 automatically makes it better in my book than being a 1-2. The majority of the time, when what I'm talking about is like Chernobog's followers versus Magic Broom in purple, a lot of the time you'd rather just have a Chernobog's followers. There are times where the broom does come in handy, but a lot of the time early on turn 1 you'd just rather have a 2-1. So that's something. What Steel's getting a lot of this draw and discard stuff, like really trying to cycle their deck. And I don't know if there's any mechanics in their deck right now that really benefit from discarding all these cards. Maybe if you run Amber Steel and you run Chernobog's followers, that could be really nice. Steel Song doesn't really care to run this. We already have Simba, and Simba allows us to run the Prince and also allows us to run, the Shift Simba. I'm going to give Mulan a 2 for now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give Mulan a 2 for now. I'm just not quite seeing it. There is the Amber shift target. I believe she's a shift 4. She does some stuff with songs. So maybe this enables that. So we'll bump it up to a 3. Mulan does have quite a few shift targets, so this might see its way into some different lists. And that's one thing I do love about this set is there's going to be a lot of experimentation because there's a lot of cards that enable other things. So for now, we'll give Mulan a 3 actually. Moving on, we have Cogsworth. He is a 3-3-1, 3 cost inkable, and still useful. When you have an item card in your discard, this character gets +2 attack. So a 5-3. So you run this in red blue. If Ruby Steel, we do see all the coils coming out, so they could run an item as well and get that in their discard. There's a lot of items in a lot of different colors. So this could be a 5-3. The problem is it's a 5-3 that does nothing the turn it comes down. It is a 5-3 that requires rush. Now, there might be an item, maybe there's an item that gives a character rush, like you banish this item, give character rush, and then in the same turn that enables him to turn into a 5-3 that has rush on turn 3. That's pretty good. I'll give him a 3. I'll give him a 3. He probably shouldn't be a 3, but I will give him a 3 because there is opportunity. I just don't see it. So maybe that means it should be a 2, but I'll give him a 3. I'm being nice today. So we'll give Cogsworth a 3 and move on. Next up, we have Fix-It Felix Jr. He is a 4-4-2, 5 cost inkable, and let's get to work. Whenever you return a racer character card from your discard to your hand, you may ready chosen racer character. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Whenever you return a racer character card from your discard to your hand. Okay, all right. So Calhoun, the new Calhoun that's coming out this set returns racer characters from your discard to your hand. Now I don't know. I'll be honest, I never paid a lot of attention to racer characters in the last set. They just never struck my fancy. So there's that, but readying your chosen racer, readying your characters is never a bad thing. They can't be banished. The racers interact with locations a lot, so maybe you can quest and then ready them with Fix It Felix, and then they can't be banished, so you get that free lore and you still get their effect for being on a location. It's a draw essentially. It's a 4-4-2. So being a 4-4-2, it is a little bit more difficult to remove. It is a Ruby Amber dual ink. If I didn't say that yet, I'm gonna give him also a 3. It's not. It might be a little too slow. I know racer decks are generally a little bit more aggro. I believe. I know my buddy ran it a little bit more aggro. So we will give it a 3 for now. And I wish it had shift. If it had shift, this would be a really really good card. But moving on, we have Cheshire Cat. He is a 4-3-2. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to chosen damaged character. 5 cost inkable. Again, more emerald cards that require your opponent's characters to be damaged, and I just can't get on with that effect. I get it just feels so bad. Now someone did mention you could run this in green steel, or you could run like all these cards that have to interact with damaged characters. You could run them in green steel, and you could run Tinkerbell. Okay, that's an idea. So on turn 4, maybe you get down a Tinkerbell if you. I think I think Green Steel can run a Shift Tink, possibly. But okay, so that's one idea. You could run Fire the Cannons to enable this kind of stuff. We saw people doing that with Ring the Bell. They would run Fire the Cannons to banish things with Ring the Bell. I don't know. I just wish they had something like the red green Queen of Hearts that deals 1 damage, or put 1 damage counter on each character when it's played, I believe is what that effect was. And I just wish that this. Wait a second. This is an emerald card, so you could run it in that deck with the Queen of Hearts. It's a day. So so okay. So that makes it a little bit better. For that reason, I will give it a 3. It's still a 5 cost card. You're essentially playing a 5 cost 4-3-2 Let the Storm Rage on. So we've seen how good Let the Storm Rage on is. Um yeah, we'll give it a 3. We'll give this one a 3 because it can be played with that Queen of Hearts, which allows for the chosen damage character thing a little bit better. Moving on, we have Maurice. He is a 5-2-1 and a 4 cost inkable, and how on earth did that happen? When you play this character, you may banish chosen item of yours to draw a card. If the banished item is named Maurice's Machine, you may also banish chosen character with 2 attack or less. And he is a mentor and inventor for what that is worth, and this is a crazy, like, you have to have Maurice's workshop down, or Maurice's machine, and that is the next card we're going to look at. So let's do this one a little bit different. Let's look at Maurice's machine. It is a 3 cost inkable item and a ruby sapphire dual ink. When this character is banished, you may return an item card with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. So what is happening here is Maurice can banish. Okay, when you play this character, you may banish chosen item of yours to draw a card. So you play this on turn 3, and then turn 4, you can play Maurice to banish this card. And then now you can return an item with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. So Popsicle would be the big one, or the Coil, I believe, is a 2 cost. So you could return Coil if you banish that. But moving on, we won't talk about that. And you can banish a character with cost 2 or less. You know what else does this really well? Baby Sizu. Baby Sizu does this really well. Brawl does this really well. I think Maurice is a 2. He's probably a 1. He's probably a 1 if I really, wanted to be a little bit more realistic. But I think both of these items are just going to be 2s. Now, Yeah, I think they're just going to be twos. Maurice's machine has a little bit more opportunity, in my opinion. The problem is a three cost a little too expensive. But because you could play this and then play Flowersham and then banish this and then also get a popsicle back. And that's kind of cool. But you're normally playing your Flowersham on turn three when you'd play this card. So and it's a little too cute for what Ruby Sapphire is trying to do. Ruby Sapphire has so many broken cards now that playing a card that is cute just doesn't fit. And that's just how it is right now with Ruby Sapphire. When the deck is as good as it is because it gets so much uh, support, it's hard to fit in a card like this that is cute when you just don't need it, that kind of thing. So I think we'll give them both a 2, Maurice and Maurice's machine. Moving on, we have Basil. Basil is a 3/6/3, pretty good, 6 cost inkable, and draw them out. Whenever this character quests, opposing damage characters gain reckless during their next turn. He's a 3/6/3, so that's pretty sexy. That's really neat. This thing has um barnacles on it. Interest. Moving on. 6 cost inkable. Um, whenever this character quests, so it doesn't work until turn 7. I'm gonna give this a 2 as well. I don't see a world. This. I'm gonna give Basil a 1. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give Basil a 1. I just don't see it. You can't use this effect till turn 7, and that's really rough in a green deck that no, yeah, because they have to be damaged. So you can't run this in green blue because their characters aren't going to be damaged. All you care about is giving their characters reckless or putting them back in their hand. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is our first one of the video. I'm sorry, buddy. Moving on though, we have Amber Coil. Amber Coil is an amber item. It is a 1 cost inkable healing aura. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. You know what card just heals really well that I would always rather have healing my characters? Rapunzel, that $50 legendary from the first chapter. So now we have Rapunzel that is just so good. It's in every Amber deck. And then we see Amber Coil that heals less and does nothing. It just it makes me want to cry a little bit. um, I Amber, I'm gonna give it a 2, and I want to give it a 1, but Ravensburger is trying so hard to do this whole removal of damage thing that I'm really hopeful that we're about to see something that cares. That cares about removing damage and doing something with removing damage, because right now we don't have it. Right now there's just no reason to do it. There's no reason to try and make it happen because your characters living with damage onto them does not happen. The game of Lorcana, the player base has been so accustomed to do not let Amber characters have damage on them because of Rapunzel that they do not let Amber characters have damage on them. So this removing damage from your character doesn't mean anything because it's we just know don't let their characters have damage on them. So now to make this happen, we have to ping our own characters, like, and so hey, I got this effect, so I'm gonna ping my character instead of removing your character so I can use this mediocre effect that does nothing. Now there are cards that work with it, right? We did see the Aurora, but I already gave my opinion on that. That card is useless. Mm, 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 mm. I'm not upset, you're upset. I Amber Coil is a 2. I'll give it a 2. And the only, like I said, the only reason I'm giving it a 2 is pure stupid optimism. Like, it's childish optimism and hoping that we have something that works really well with removing damage. And because right now we just don't have it. Right now, all this Amber getting support for removing damage is not there. You just you'd rather leave damage on your character for Rapunzel. Like that's just it. You could run this with Smee, right? You play this, your Smee lives longer. But again, a lot of the time I'd rather my Smee have damage for Rapunzel. So, mm. We'll give it a 2. Moving on, we have Ruby Coil. And Ruby Coil is an item. It is a 2-cost inkable Crimson Spark. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen character gets +2 attack this turn. This is pretty good. This is pretty good for Ruby Steel. I like what they did here. This is really cool. Now, and yeah, Ruby Steel can run this. Unfortunately, Ruby Sapphire could run this if they really wanted. Imagine a Super Goof with 4 attack, a Tipo with 3 attack. I can't think of what Ruby Chromicon is, but I think they'd rather just run the Vitalosphere than this. But for Ruby Steel, this card is awesome. This means on turn 3, you can give your 1-drop +2 attack. That's really cool. Because on turn 3, maybe there's a card that you there's a card you could play to also benefit from this. Maybe it gives something rush. Maybe I don't know how much Thieves cost. Maybe Thieves, I think if you could move a character, if you could play Thieves and move a character in the same turn, that could be a big swing turn because now you gain 2 lore from Thieves banishing. I think I could be way off, but I like Ruby Coil. It's a 3 in my book. I think that this allows for just more crazy things, and you could do it in the same turn. You play this card and you ink that turn, and character gets +2 attack, and that could really catch people off. All of a sudden, McDuck Manors aren't as safe as they used to be, and that's really exciting. So yeah, we'll give Ruby Coil a 3. It could be a 4, but we'll give it a 3. We'll give it a 3. Next up, we have Steel Coil. Back to the Uninkables. It is a 2-cost uninkable metallic flow. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. There's that choose and discard effect again. I don't understand the obsession with this. And let me know in the comments if I'm just missing, like maybe there was a card released that I'm just missing in this set, in a previous set, something we haven't seen in the meta that just does really cool things when you discard cards. Because right now, I can't think of it. Again, this helps enable Chernobygs, right? The 993, that's really cool, that's neat. You get to cycle your hand, which is really cool. But you have to use an entire, like you have to use turn 2 to do it. And I don't know if you run this in blue steel, if you're using turn 2 to do it, that means your hand's really, really bad, and your mulligan just went awful. Amber Steel isn't playing Smee or Ursula or any of that. Ruby Steel isn't playing the Coil or a card that can challenge. And Steel Coil is going to be a 2 for me. It's hard for me to give items a 1 because especially items that don't get banished, because there could be something that gets really annoying. It works with Jafar Wheel, so that's something. It works with Jafar Wheel. You draw a card and gain a lore if Jafar is exerted, so that's pretty cool. But I mean, imagine if you get 4 of these down, you gain 4 lore. Cool. So we'll give Steel Coil a 2. Next up, we have Lyle Tiberius Rourke. He is a 6/4/3. He is an 8-cost inkable. He's a big boy. And explosive. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, deal 2 damage to each character in play. That means himself as well. So you could deal 4 damage in 1 turn. All right. If you have Fishbone Quill down, if you have Sail the Azurite Sea, a Tipo, so you could deal 4 damage. That's pretty cool. That's clearing most characters. But you're not getting it. I mean, slow down. You could only run this in red-blue, right? And if you ran this in red-blue, you could theoretically play this as early as turn 6-ish, maybe turn 5 if I sat down and did the math. But now you're using an entire turn to play this character. hoping to then clear your opponent's board. And there's just so many other better things to do with that turn. This does nothing the turn you play it, unless you have Fishbone Quill down. If you have Fishbone Quill down, then the turn you play it, you could deal 2 damage. That's really cool. There's other cards right now that um, probably let you put cards into your Inkwell that turn. But you play this card, you lose your entire board. I mean, B Prep does the same thing, but I just don't see this card being played for any reason. I don't know why you'd want to. It's too easy to take care of for steel decks, right? Well, I guess I say that with very biasly with playing Amber Steel, but um, I'm gonna give Lyle here, Mr. Rourke, a 2. His effect, just banishing himself feels bad. It goes really well with the story. I really respect that, but um, I don't know. It's removal that quests for 3, and that's really nice as well. We'll give him a 3. We're gonna bump it up to a 3. I like the card. I like the story right here. I like that it's removal that quests for 3. You can kind of just sit there. He will inevitably banish himself because red blue just doesn't skip turns inking normally. But so we'll give him a 3. Moving on. We have Penny. Penny Bolt's person. Let's see. 1/2/2, 2 cost inkable, enduring loyalty. When you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character, and they gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Let's see. This is interesting. This artwork is phenomenal. They just killed it on this artwork this set. Like, so good. But excuse me. You don't have to there's that remove damage again. But we're fine. We're fine. You don't have to remove damage to give the resist +1. So that's something. Now, you don't play this really on turn 2. There's not really a reason to. On the draw, you could play this on turn 2 to give Daisy resist +1 and protect it from Fox. So that's something. You get an extra 2 free lore there. This will inevitably quest for 2. You could remove damage, so this does work really well with Smee. I know I just went on that little rant that I'd normally rather Smee have damage on him, but this does work really well with Smee, in that because you could play this on turn 3, turn 4. It'd be, yeah, and that's pretty good because now your opponent's Chernobog's followers can't banish your Smee, so that's something. On that note, you could just play a captain like John Silver or Piglet, and then your Smee still can't be banished because they don't take any damage. I'm gonna give Penny a 3. The artwork's too good to give it less. It quests for 2, which is fine. That's good. It gives resist +1 no matter what, and I'm a sucker for resist. That's a really good effect. Um, yeah, yeah. We'll give Penny here a 3. Moving on, we have MVP card of the day, and I have a card here, and I don't agree with it. So this is what I chose, Tramp. And the reason I don't agree with it, and I'm gonna call an audible and choose a new one, is because you have to then discard as many cards, and I did not see that part when I posted this. So I am going to give MVP card of the day to our boy Mickey. Now, I know I wasn't very high on him. I only gave him a 3, but I love the possibilities of this card. You could play this card on 2. If it doesn't get banished, turn 3, you could do some major damage. You could run away with the game on turn 3. Just imagine a big Cindy on turn 3. Imagine a John Silver on turn 3 that is dealing 1 damage to readied characters. So any character your opponent plays, from now on, takes a damage, and there's so many possibilities with this card, and I really like that. So Mickey Mouse is my MVP card of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. I've said it before, I love doing these. Make sure you check these out, the different challenges, the giveaway as well. But ladies and gentlemen, with that, remember, above all else, always stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you around.